A few weeks ago, I was on the Stairmaster, dripping sweat, grinding through another brutal 30-minute sprint interval session. Then I plan to follow up with 60 minutes of walking just to hit my daily step goal, which isn't even the coveted 10,000 steps anymore because my body already adapted to that years ago. And my fat loss stores are all 10,000 steps a day. Yeah, that's cute. What else you got? So these days, I'm actually chasing 15,000 steps to help get rid of those last 5 pounds that have already filed for permanent residence on my thighs. So there I am, huffing and puffing at level 16, holding on for dear life so I don't fall off, when I stumble across this video making a bold claim. Stop doing 10,000 steps and instead do this Japanese walking method that gives you better results in half the time. I wiped the sweat that dripped onto my iPad, clicked on the video, and you know what happened next. 10 more videos making those same big promises flooded my feed. Get 10 times the benefits in only 30 minutes. This Japanese technique beats 10,000 steps. Why you're wasting your time with traditional walking? So I had to know, was there any truth to this? Could I really ditch my 15,000 step obsession and just walk 30 minutes instead, getting the same or even better fat loss benefits? Maybe you're like me, someone who's tried every cardio trend, tracked every step, but still felt like you were spinning your wheels. That's the exact reason I dove into the research before testing this method for myself, and here's what I learned. The technique being claimed as the latest fat loss miracle is called interval walking training, or IWT for short. It was developed by Japanese researchers at Shinsu University in 2007. While the concept is surprisingly simple, the science behind it seems pretty solid. Here's how it works. Start with a 3 to 5 minute gentle warm-up walk. Then alternate between 3 minutes of brisk walking, where you can talk but it's challenging to hold a conversation. Follow that up with 3 minutes of moderate recovery walking, where a conversation flows more easily. Repeat this cycle 5 times for a total of 30 minutes, ending with a 3 to 5 minute cool down. And here's why all of the big YouTubers are rushing to claim this works better than steady state walking. It's due to what researchers call the law of diminishing returns. When you do the same walking routine day after day, your body adapts. Your gait becomes more efficient, your cardiovascular system adjusts, and if you lose weight, the same number of steps becomes easier over time. Interval walking training solves this through progressive overload, but for walking. As your fitness improves, you simply walk faster during the intense intervals, take longer strides, and reduce recovery time. This method meets you where you're at and pushes you beyond your comfort zone. The Japanese researchers studied over 700 adults and found some pretty amazing benefits, like 4 times improvement in blood pressure, 40% reduction in stroke risk, 15% boost in VO2 max, which is your body's ability to use oxygen efficiently, plus an average waist reduction of 6 centimeters, which is over 2 inches. 70% of calories burned come from fat stores during moderate intensity walking, more effective at targeting visceral fat, which is the dangerous fat around your organs, and daily life improvements, including a 12% boost in sleep quality, stronger immune system function, noticeable mood improvements after just a few weeks, and a 60% increase in creativity, which is similar to what researchers found with regular walking. Plus, it's more effective at preserving muscle compared to steady-state cardio, and it triggers more efficient fat burning while feeling less exhausting than running. But here's what really caught my attention, at least at first. When you walk at a moderate pace, about 70% of the calories you burn come from fat. When you run the same distance, only about 50% come from fat, with the rest coming from carbohydrates. This happens because during low to moderate intensity exercise, your muscles can generate energy through aerobic metabolism, which relies heavily on fat stores. As intensity increases, your body shifts towards burning carbs for quick energy. IWT keeps you in that optimal fat burning zone while adding just enough intensity to prevent adaptation and maximize results. Which I know sounds absolutely amazing. So everyone needs to switch right now so you can burn all of the fat, right? Well, it is a good thing, but it's not quite as amazing as it sounds, and I'll explain why in a minute. But first, let's talk about my actual experience adding this technique to my fat loss routine. I went into the gym hyping myself up for another 30 minutes of dripping sweat on good old Shamu, which is what I call the Stairmaster because let's face it, that thing is a beast. But then I thought, maybe I should test out that walking method because I'm supposed to get the same results in only half the time. Plus, it helps me avoid any reoccurring trauma from all of those killer workouts on Shamu. And to be fair, the research is actually comparing walking to walking, not Stairmaster to walking. But the entire point of this method is you don't have to exhaust yourself on some cardio machine just to get results. You just need to boost your typical walk with more intense intervals. So that's what I did. Starting with a warm-up, setting the treadmill at an incline of 3 with a walking speed that's also set to 3. Once those first 3 minutes were up, I increased the speed just a little to 3.2 while pushing the incline up to 8, which took my heart rate from around 124 beats per minute up to 150 beats per minute after finishing my first interval cycle. Then I went back to walking at a speed of 3, moving the incline down to 6, which is where I intended as my recovery cycle for the workout, which might not be the same for you. Remember, I have been doing all of the cardio over the past few months, trying to blast off these last 10 pounds of fat. So you need to figure out which speed and incline work to get your heart rate up during your brisk walking cycle, as well as what brings it down to a pace where you're still working, but you can hold a conversation. To get your heart rate up, you can either increase speed or just adjust the incline. I personally prefer to only increase the speed a little while using a bigger incline to maximize my heart rate during my brisk cycle since it's more gentle on my body, which, according to my kids, I'm old. So I need to take care of this aging body, all because of a few gray hairs. I dyed it today. As I continued my walk, my moderate cycle stayed at a pace of 3 miles an hour with an incline of 6, which kept my heart rate steady around 124. Over the course of my workout, I increased the incline to increase my heart rate over time, setting the incline to 12 with a speed of 3.2 miles an hour for my working cycles. The longer I did the workout, the greater my heart rate increased, starting around 150 beats per minute at the beginning of my brisk cycles, increasing all the way up to 163 towards the end, which I personally didn't end at 30 minutes because I truly am a cardio addict. I love all of the serotonin that's released and it just feels good to keep going. But I did have to end my workout at the 53-minute mark because I've got kids and they need breakfast before school. But for the sake of this video, let's talk about what would have happened if I did stop at 30 minutes. According to my Apple Watch, I burned 254 calories in 30 minutes, which means roughly 178 calories coming from stored fat, which definitely is something, but also not a ton. But something I've learned is every little bit counts. Plus, walking has all of those other benefits that we just talked about, so this routine really comes down to more than just calories in versus calories out. But here's the reality check that all of those miracle YouTubers conveniently skip over. Because you want to know what does come down to calories in versus calories out? How much body fat you actually lose. Which is the reason it doesn't really matter if you burn 70% of your calories from stored fat during your workout. Because if you overeat calories throughout the day, then you will just gain that fat right back. And conveniently leaving this point out keeps a lot of dieters stuck. Because you test this method for 30 days, you feel pretty good adding it into your routine, but it doesn't really end up doing much to move the scale. That's because the bottom line is, if you eat more calories than you burn over the course of a week, you will gain fat. It doesn't matter if every workout you do burns stored fat. Extra body fat comes from an overall calorie balance at the end of the week. Does that mean that this walking technique is completely useless and you should just go back to whatever you were doing? No, it's actually a really good method to boost your calorie burn while helping you achieve all of those other health benefits. After my interval workout, I had more energy and I was less hungry since walking comes with appetite suppression. But does that mean that I can just ditch my current 15,000 step routine and only walk 30 minutes instead? Well, also no. I mean, unless I want to eat a lot fewer calories, because once I stop moving for 15,000 steps a day, which for someone my size burns around 600 to 700 calories, if I were to trade that in for just 30 minutes of walking and call it a day, that's a 450 calorie difference, which means I would stay stuck right where I'm at if I continued eating the same way that I do, or I could even gain weight. Adding this method to your current routine is a great idea if you're someone who already walks but feels stuck in a plateau, wants results without completely destroying your joints. Hello, my fellow gray hair friends. Loves the idea of working smarter, not just harder. Is just starting out with exercise. Or you currently walk on flat surfaces for your daily walk, never really increasing speed or intensity. If any of these describe you, then yes, adding this method will take your fat burning up a notch. And even for someone like me who desperately needs to give her body a break from the more intense cardio routine that I've been testing out the past few months, I'll definitely stick with this method. Mostly because it is way easier on my body and I really love the energy that I have after my walk. At the end of the day, fat loss comes down to calories in versus calories out. You have to burn more calories than you eat if you want to lose fat. So, should you ditch your step counter entirely? No, because moving more still matters. But if you're someone who's been grinding through endless cardio sessions like I was, this method gives you permission to work smarter instead of always working harder. It's not some big miracle where if you just add 30 minutes of walking interval training to your routine and that's all you do, poof, out of nowhere you just reach your fat loss goal. It's basically another tool that works with all of the other habits you need to form to get this fat loss thing to actually work. And honestly, it's one that might just save your sanity and your knees. Speaking of adding the right habits after 40, watch this video next. I show you all of the small habits I added to my routine after 40 that truly did end up to really big results.